Welcome to the She Speaks to Inspire podcast. I'm your host, Julia Kraft, your authentic expression mentor and public speaking coach. She Speaks to Inspire is an empowering public speaking podcast for women with public speaking fear. Unlike other podcasts on public speaking, She Speaks to Inspire not only gives you tips to be a confident communicator under pressure, but also helps you regulate your nervous system for less anxiety, learn lifestyle practices to reduce burnout and overwhelm, and reconnect with your feminine leadership presence for more authenticity and comfort in your skin. I believe it's the quiet ones, especially the quiet women, who have the most important ideas. I believe the world really does need your voice. So let's dive in. We're here today to talk about how to stop using filler words and start making an impact when you speak. One of the biggest challenges women tell me that they have and that I see is that they use a lot of filler words. Filler words are sounds like and that break up what you're saying. Filler words can also mean some of the softeners that take a direct statement and soften it. Words like perhaps, sorta, kinda, maybe, basically, just. How do you feel listening to a speaker that uses a lot of filler words? I'm sure you've experienced it. It can be a little bit painful. So great to be here and let's get started. Let's just start with. You get the idea? It can be painful. What is an audience thinking of you? How are they judging you when you use fillers? Well, they're often thinking about themselves more than anything. Us as speakers, we think, oh, they must be judging me. But most of the time, as an audience member, I'm thinking about myself. I'm thinking about that it's uncomfortable to listen to somebody using ums and ahs because they seem uncomfortable. I'm thinking that this is distracting. It's hard to know what the speaker is trying to say to me. Often an audience is zoning out and thinking about other things because there's too many things distracting them from what you intend to say, from your core message. A lot of times an audience doesn't know what it is about the speaker that makes them uncomfortable or makes them zone out. Very few audience members will be able to identify you're using a lot of fillers and that's making me uncomfortable. They'll just say to themselves, this isn't a great talk. I don't need to pay attention here. And they'll zone out. Now, I'm sure that's not what you want your audience to be doing, right? So that in and of itself is a reason to avoid filler words. However, filler words, especially ums and ahs, have been completely vilified by trainings like Toastmasters and other public speaking trainings. But especially, I know Toastmasters counts your ums and ahs when you present in the club. And then afterwards, they give you a sheet that says how many ums and ahs you had, like 50 ums and 25 ums. I don't know how we would possibly respond to that as speakers other than to feel like, I'm a failure. That's the only way to respond to that kind of feedback. I have failed. Using filler words means that I'm bad. This promotes perfectionism and increases self-criticism. There was a time when the accepted and expected way of speaking was much more formal. I call this the Dale Carnegie era. Maybe you've heard of Dale Carnegie. I think he's actually still around doing trainings. I remember my father going to his trainings when he was growing his business in the 80s. The kind of speaking style they taught was very formal. And I would say very masculine. You talk like this. Welcome to our meeting. We're here to discuss these things. It's very formal. Toastmasters in some ways is similar. I've been to Toastmasters championships where the best Toastmasters from around the state gather to give their talks. They had great talks. They were very well prepared, but often the delivery was stoic and formal, not very authentic. There's definitely been a shift in our world from that kind of Dale Carnegie speaking to authenticity. Well, what is authenticity? It's just not so perfect, I would say. Authentic speaking is real people allowing their realness and humanity to be seen. However, that Dale Carnegie style and the Toastmasters slap on the wrist for the ums and ahs, that stuff is still in our collective consciousness as the way it should be. A lot of women will say to me, I want to sound more professional. And what they really mean by that is they want to be polished and perfect and like they think they should sound because they've heard through the grapevine about how professional speakers speak. Now, all of that is made up by trainings like Dale Carnegie. I'm really actually not dissing Dale Carnegie because I know that it has helped so many people. But it's time, especially for women, especially for introverted women, to let go of this sense of perfectionism. And filler words is one big place that comes up. Let's talk about why you use fillers in the first place. There's a good reason. It's not that you're a bad speaker. What is the real reason that you use filler words? The number one reason that anyone uses filler words is that they actually need more time. Oh my gosh, let me say that again, because I think it's really important to understand that you have had a good reason for using filler words. You've needed more time to find your thoughts. You've needed more time to form your idea and translate it into the words that you wanted to say. You've needed more time. Can you forgive yourself now that you know why? There's a great book about introversion called The Introvert Advantage: How to Thrive in an Extrovert World by Marty Olson Laney, a psychologist. He did so much research and scientific study about what makes an introvert an introvert, what makes an extrovert. I really appreciate how objective it is because this whole introvert-extrovert thing can feel like it's very subjective. And a lot of people will say to me, well, I'm sort of an ambivert. And, you might be an ambivert. We all are to some degree. But what he says is that there's actually a difference in the brain chemistry between introverts and extroverts. And one thing about introverts, let me read you this quote. Often introverts have trouble finding the word they want when they are speaking out loud. Our brains use many different areas for speaking, reading, and writing. Therefore, information needs to flow freely between the separate areas. Word retrieval may be a problem for introverts because the information moves slowly. One cause of this is that we use long-term memory. So it takes longer and requires the right association, something that reminds us of the word, to reach back into our long-term memory to locate the exact word we want. If we are anxious, it may be even more difficult to find and articulate the word. Written words use different pathways in the brain, which seems to flow fluently for many introverts. So this explains why you've been focusing on script writing to make yourself feel more comfortable, because it's a total comfort zone for you, right? But then that word retrieval, finding the right word in the moment, that's challenging, especially if you're anxious. I hope you're relating to this because I am. Let me read one more quote from his book. Introverts walk around with lots of thoughts and feelings in their heads. They are mulling, comparing old and new experiences. They often have an ongoing dialogue with themselves. Relate. Since this is such a familiar experience, they may not realize that other minds work in different ways. Some introverts aren't even aware that they think so much and that they need time for ideas or solutions to pop into their heads. They need to reach back into long-term memory to locate information, and this requires reflection time without pressure. Without pressure. Have you been pressuring yourself to come up with that word as fast as you can? This is the reason filler words happen in the first place, because you're not giving yourself enough time and you're not in rhythm with yourself. If you're more introverted, it's going to take a little longer for the thought to come to you. That doesn't mean it's going to be forever. It's just going to take an extra, beat for the thought to come to you. You can start to create a speaking style that accommodates this. You can start to find tools and strategies that we're going to talk about in a second that accommodate this and make it actually valuable and effective. All right, so let's talk about exactly what to do to stop using filler words and sound more confident. First of all, as we've talked about, filler words are not a sin. You do not need to stop using filler words entirely. If they're used too much, they become distracting. A few filler words is human. It's totally okay. To reduce the amount of filler words, this is some tips for you. Number one, slow yourself down. There's going to be other podcasts about slowing down, so I'm not going to go deep into that topic now, but slow down. Slow down your breathing. Slow down your thinking. Slow down your speaking. Slow everything down. And while you're slowing down, allow there to be pauses. In the pause, take a deep breath. Take a breath in. Allow that pause to be relaxed without any pressure. As you speak and try to slow down, you can use techniques like elongating words and articulating each sound clearly so that it keeps you present and it slows down your pace to allow the right words to come to you in the right moment. Finally, shift your focus from getting everything perfect from how you remember you were going to say it, which is in the past, to focusing on the connection with the audience in front of you right now. Are they getting it? Are they with you? What are the right words to say to these people right now? Let them come to you. To sum up, filler words, ums and ahs are not a sin. Allow yourself to have some filler words. Please don't beat yourself up about them. And if you want to reduce the amount of filler words that you use, make sure to slow down using elongating words and articulating words really crisply, and then replace your filler words with pauses to give yourself time to come to the right word and the right thought for the next moment. Focus on connection and trust that your improvisation is going to be just fine. I hope this is helpful to start to reframe filler words and reduce some of the self-criticism and beating yourself up that you've been doing. Go out there and make an impact with your speaking without worrying about every little word. Thanks for listening. This has been She Speaks to Inspire with Julia Kraft, your authentic expression mentor and public speaking coach. I'm so glad you joined me. And I hope you got so much out of this episode. If you want to learn more about Speak to Inspire training programs and get inspired, head over to speaktoinspire.com or follow us on Instagram at She Speaks to Inspire. Never forget, the world needs your voice, and it's time for you to speak to inspire. See you on the next episode.